speciation by natural selection? Well, the mechanism that would need to be in place would be stability of the environment. In a stable environment, there is an optimal form or multiple optimal forms for survival in that environment. And what we see in the fossil record is that for most of the history of most species, forms don't change very much because variants tend to have a loss of fitness because the dominant form is the one most adapted to the environment that they're in, because it's been shaped that way by natural selection. That this environment, that the form that is the average, the form that's the median, the form that's the mean, tends to be the one that does the best. In very rapidly changing environments, in environments undergoing a catastrophe of some sort, whether it's another species coming in or whether it's an environmental catastrophe, those are the environments where you get either extinction of a species or a rapid change in forms of those species. So in order to prevent speciation, all you would need is for everything to stay just the way they are.
This is an area that I'm completely unfamiliar with, so I'm just going to go right off the top of my head. Common sense says to me that if it's a random mutation and produces a favorable variation, which he says is frequently the case, I don't think it would matter whether it was a stable environment or not. I can understand how an unstable environment would perhaps galvanize a variation to be more successful than another, but if you had a stable environment and one species could reproduce with more offspring than one variant could reproduce with more offspring than the other, I would think that even in a stable environment, the variation would occur.
The difficulty is that every single trait that you have has trade-offs. Every single trait that you want to evolve, every single trait that you want to build has a metabolic cost. If you want to make a faster cheetah, a cheetah that could run faster and is better at catching fast-running prey, what you're going to get is a cheetah that has to spend more energy, is a cheetah that has a higher metabolism, is a cheetah that has a higher requirement for food, until you hit an equilibrium point at which further increases in speed are not made up for by the damage to the body, the damage to the skeleton, the damage to the muscles, and the intense food requirement required to sustain it. And the same of prey, the same of deer. A faster deer runs better from a cheetah. And so deer that run faster will survive every generation, until you hit a limit, at which point further speed increases are not made up for by the trade-offs, by the sacrifices you have to make in order to build those structures. The environment is limited.
I don't mean to cut you off again.
Limited resources.